Although it was peaceful on the streets of Atlanta, the atmosphere was everything from serene. Bambi sat by herself in her poorly lighted apartment at the side of her bed, her gaze focused on the open laptop before her, her hands shaking. The video that she got from Tama was more than simply evidence. It was a confession, a setup, a betrayal on all fronts, and power. And she had stopped weeping now. She had had enough of being polite. She had had enough of waiting. It was war. She selected the last folder with the name Court Evidence and pressed Download. Final. All night long, her lawyer had been contacting her to ask if she was prepared to proceed. She was now. The burner phone was in her possession. The audio was with her. Leaks. And now, because of Erica Mina's uncovered pink flip phone and Tasha K's mess, the entire trail was in her possession. In addition to engaging in emotional sabotage, Scrappy was also involved in twisting a whole plot point against her will. After inhaling deeply, she pressed the send button. 9:00 a.m. Consequently, her attorney submitted an official grievance to the Fulton County Court System and the Georgia Department of Labor. Among the charges were dehalion, fraud in manufacturing contracts, and emotional sabotage. The names of VH1 and Scrappy were added to the file. Was Tasha K's complete confession recorded while she was still incarcerated? The same morning, a magistrate cited potential retribution in an emergency request for protective custody for Bambi after silently reviewing the papers. A warrant was then issued by him. Scrappy was still hiding at Mama D's house across town. It had been 2 days since he had left the guest room. His chest tightened each time his phone buzzed, and the blinds were drawn. Mama D rushed in, her eyes filled with rage as he was looking through old fan sites. "You're popular once more." She lost her temper and threw a pillow at him, not in a nice way. He raised his head, perplexed. Now what? She threw her call around. There was a blaring headline. "Charges are filed by Bambi. Officially, Scrappy is being investigated." His lips became parched. "What fees?" he inquired. "Every one of them?" "I said," she said, icily. "You left that small burner phone under your seat. Simply enter your name on a federal watch list, dang it." The doorbell rang before he could respond. Out loud, hostile. Mama D stopped. Scrappy sprang to his feet. A different voice. "Police! We have a warrant for Daryl Richardson, also known as Scrappy," was screamed from the side of the door. A hand shot to Mama D's chest. Scrappy took a step back, like if he had seen a ghost. Whispering, "No, no, no," he said. "It was. But this isn't happening." With spotlights all over and pistols drawn, they kicked down the door. Scrappy was face down with his hands in a matter of seconds. Mama D said, "My baby, he didn't do this. Alone. Check the damn thing," while reading his rights behind his back. Tasha K, meanwhile, sat in a sterile courtroom across town, her wrist still scarred from the shackles. But her stance is awesome. Beside her, looking over papers, was her lawyer. "You're fortunate," he muttered. "Bambi's group promised you immunity if you cooperated completely." She grinned and said, "You're walking today while they're throwing Scrappy under the bus. As I already stated, I am the camera and not the antagonist." The courtroom stood as the judge entered, documents were signed, bail was granted, and Tasha K, notorious and unrepentant, walked away free, but not before saying in a whisper, "I gave them everything," and meeting the press's gaze. The circus starts. Already, the circus had started outside the courthouse. Fans and bloggers descended. One exclaimed, "Tasha, did you really flip on Scrappy?" "Are you worried about your security?" Another inquired, and she turned, grinning for the cameras. "I'm intelligent, not afraid." You should ask Bambi what follows. Before she even arrived in the parking lot, the soundbite became viral. Once she got back in her apartment, Bambi was viewing the video in real time. Her body trembled when she saw Scrappy in handcuffs, not with happiness, but with relief. Justice was now at stake, not retaliation. Her phone was calling the shots after she had played their game and captured every shot on video. Buzzed. It was her attorney. They stated he was in custody. Bambi didn't think twice. "Do you still want to go ahead with the VH1 lawsuit?" I want to document every incident, NDA, and phony breakdown. The Love and Hip Hop production office was in disarray, but it wasn't only VH1 that was in a panic. Editors were cleaning up footage, and executive producers were being brought into emergency meetings. Although interns were purging internal communications, the court had previously subpoenaed the production pushes. Tasha K had forewarned them about every uncut footage, every removed confessional, and every off-camera incident. Discussed. The actual video was at last being revealed, and then the greatest surprise of all, a fresh leak surfaced on blogs, AI. Video timestamped from, "If we push her too hard, she'll snap and then I can come in as the good guy," Scrappy said while seated in a producer's office months earlier. Even the producer appeared uneasy when the room fell silent. "Do you really want to say it in front of the camera?" Scrappy inquired. "You guys wanted drama, right?" Shrugged. More people shared the video than any other. Trailer. Our sex loaded. Our Scrappy set her up. Fans flipped. Tasha Qua's right. Our free Bambi. Our VH1 New Haven. Former cast members began to speak out. Sierra shared a video stating, "I knew something was off." Young Jock tweeted, "Man, I was on set." They attempted to portray Bambi as unhinged, but she was just confined. Everything was edited out. This isn't it. Carly Red made a remark beneath a rumor blog, and they question why we're suing. Scrappy was losing it when he was in jail. Been placed in a holding cell by himself for his own safety, but he was left to gaze with little defense against his own guilt. Hearing the guard murmur, "Isn't this that guy from VH1?" at the wall, he felt like screaming, but he was unable to do anything but wait for the court date. Await Bambi's next move and the end of the world's laughter. Bambi had one more move, though, and that night she went live. The picture was straightforward. Simply her, with no filters or glitter, yet she held a private court file. She said that this is the actual script, not the one they had me read it. It's not the one they changed. Scrappy signed it. The producers, as well as VH1. She turned the books on camera, highlighting the relevant sections. Scenes involving emotional discomfort may be reshot for clarity, and cast members may be encouraged to incite conflict. If ratings drop, breakdowns are encouraged. The comments were a complete mess. What? Where is Mona Scott? This is legitimate. Destroy everything. The internet crashed once more, and right when it got worse for Scrappy. On TikTok, a lady named Janelle, who claimed to be a former VH1 intern, claimed to have a folder on Bambi with the title, "They were timing her weeping, and I could see it." In 3 hours, the post received 1 million views, and Tasha K., who is now out on bail, began hinting to anew the first episode of Prison Files. What They Told Me About Mona, which was pre-written, was titled The Bambi Breakdown. Once back. In her flat, Bambi pressed record and explained, "I opened a new folder on my laptop called Final Footage, commanded them to halt. I pleaded with them to halt. Additionally, when they didn't, I ensured I had another strategy. It's this: the consequences of the first court." When the second wave came, leak hadn't even calmed down. By the time the sun fell in Atlanta, over 6 million people have viewed Bambi's video on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and fan sites. Her words, the phrase, "This is the real script," which influencers were remixing, had gone viral. Fans were saturating the VH1 site with snake emojis, while TikTokers were mimicking her trial statement. Instead of rejoicing, Bambi was getting ready, since what was about to happen wasn't. It was a fight for all the facts that had ever been hidden behind the scenes, not simply a public collapse. Tamika, the former whistleblower who had jeopardized her job to deliver the data, and Bambi sat in her apartment with her lawyer, to light. Her attorney said that this upcoming round will be painful. The court has authorized subpoenas for financial statements, surveillance video, text messages, and emails. After we drop this, we won't be able to retract it. "Let's drop everything," Bambi said, nodding without blinking. A flash disc with the title Executive Draft Cuts Season 12 was passed over by Tamika. Furthermore, evidence of Scrappy and Erica, Mina's assistance in re-editing sequences to make Bambi a villain, including a phony confession scene that was pieced together with unutilized sound nibbles. In the meantime, Scrappy sat stonily, gazing at a blurry display that was showing snippets of his arrest on repeat. The guards were also observing it now, laughing incredulously. "Didn't he rap?" one whispered. Scrappy didn't answer. About respect? Rapped about respect. He was unable to. It had been 48 hours since his lawyer had visited. Online threats had limited his time on the phone. Even worse, Mama D had stopped talking. Nothing pierced as deeply as that. Even in his mess, she was the one who always had his back. But not this time, because Mama D had watched the latest video that had been released to all of the big gossip blogs via an anonymous email a few hours ago. "Just give her a soft chair and some hot lights," Scrappy was heard asking in a green room during the Season 12 reunion, according to the video. "She will take a 5-minute break. She does it. She does it. Every time." Then Erica Mena, not just him, was laughing when the video came on. The net, fans turned, and all of a sudden, they stopped questioning Bambi's tears. Were verified, but Erica Mena was nowhere to be seen. Her social media accounts disappeared dark. She ceased filming, and her public relations team released a general statement claiming that she was taking time to recover. But after Bambi shared an email demonstrating that Erica was copied on the breakdown footage and burner, phone transcripts were given with the Dropbox connection. VH1 made an effort to remain silent, but advertisers weren't. 3 cast members declined to participate in filming, 2 major sponsors withdrew, and a behind-the-scenes The Featurette was taken from the site entirely, and producers were instructed internally to destroy everything that wasn't already digitally backed up, but it was too late since Tasha K wasn't finished either. Regaining her platform and being released on bond, she shared a brand new preview with the following caption: "The true monster was the fog, not the storm as they believed. The internet went crazy over Mona Scott's emails. What did it mean? Did the creator of Love and Hip Hop, Mona Scott Young, know about the manipulation of emotions? Did she approve of it?" Bambi's staff had evidence to support their conclusion. Inside a 6 months before to the premiere of Season 12, Mona said to producers in a private email conversation, "If Bambi isn't breaking, she's not working. We will require a replacement if we don't have tears." The email was clinical, icy, and devoid of empathy. Numbers. Now there had proof. Bambi's attorney filed a follow-up lawsuit, naming Mona VH1, and if Scrappy flips hard enough, the audience will believe anything, said a few producers, one of whom was seen on camera. Simultaneously, a federal judge approved a temporary hold on VH1's unreleased Season 13 video, citing an ongoing investigation. There was more to this than a reality TV controversy in terms of coercion and unethical production techniques. This was turning into a case for the industry. Scrappy was back in jail and eventually had a visitor. It wasn't his lawyer, though, and it wasn't who he had hoped for. They were seated opposite one another in the visitation room, and it was Tamika, not Mama D phones hitting the glass. "I predicted this," Tamika remarked. Scrappy said, "You could have left clean." "Why are you here? To show you that you're not alone," she gazed at him without sympathy. She then slipped a letter on the window saying, "They're coming for you, but you're the first." It said, "Your deposition is scheduled to be made public in 2 days." He went through it 3 times. His expression altered. He muttered, "You're bluffing," but she wasn't, since the final edits were being completed back at BMI's flat, and a new special was set to drop, acquired from separate sources, not on VH1 or Instagram. Financing for documentaries. Title: Broken. For ratings: The true story of Bambi's collapse. The teaser showed Bambi sobbing in a confessional with a slow zoom. "Do that again," a producer is heard whispering. More desperate, though. Flash picture text overlay of Scrappy and Erica Mena giggling behind the scenes. Fans were clamoring for her breakdown, which was staged and dubbed reality. It was scheduled to debut in 48 hours. VH1 was scurrying, bloggers were frothing, and Mama D, now frustrated, went live from her car and declared, "I'm not going to live for my son, even though I love him. I told him not to let them do what they did to the girl because it was wrong. You lose your spirit watching TV." The Week's most shared video was that particular clip. Back at home, Bambi gazed at herself in the glass, her voice calm, but her eyes weary. "This was never just about me," she said in a whisper as she turned to Tamika. "It concerned all of us who were spit out after being eaten up. Her phone then buzzed. A fresh email, Erica's confession, backstage video, subject line. After pressing the play button, Erica Mena appeared on the screen holding a producer. "If Bambi doesn't flip," she muttered, her microphone still on, "can claim that she misrepresented the pregnancy fear. What we utilize doesn't matter to me. Simply make her appear unstable." Bam! Bai's jaw tightened. After opening her notes app and typing, "The Last Cut, Chapter 3, she glanced up, inhaled deeply, and stated, "Let's get it done." The city felt frozen the night before the program premiered, and billboards were erected all throughout Atlanta. The screens are blank and say, "Broin for ratings, streaming midnight." Just the warning, with no sponsors or faces. The atmosphere in VH1's corporate office was one of fear, with executives on Zoom calls with PR and crisis teams. Legal experts, consultants, and others pleaded for an apology, wanted to attempt to stop the documentary, but it didn't matter. Bambi was now on her own. The video, contracts, receipts, and, above all, the voice of a generation of women who had been gnawed by reality were all in her possession. When their weeping stopped, they threw away their TV. At 12:01 a.m., minutes after the Hulu exclusive was released, it went viral. The documentary started with they referred to it as entertainment, but I labeled it Bambi's own voiceover. They wrote my horror down and referred to it as content, but now I'm sharing it. The true tale, mine. The following 90 minutes caused the internet to go crazy. Tasha K claiming to get paid was shown on a clip of Scrappy joking with producers, discussing trigger points. Then came the shocking revelation. Mona Scott Young was heard at a secret microphone moment during a closed-door executive meeting while editing redemption arcs beneath the table. Said, "We want the women to appear untidy. The brand is that. Should they shatter, we prevail." It was too much for Twitter to handle. Cancel. Broken 4 ratings. Fire Mona. The answer was prompt. Bambi deserved better. Overnight, VH1 was dumped by brands, and streaming services stopped accepting fresh Love and Hip Hop uploads. Some cast members made recordings of themselves apologizing, while others distanced themselves entirely. Then came Erica Mena's live performance, in which she displayed her face, red eyes, shaking voice, and no makeup. She said that I was afraid of losing my contract and of being forgotten. I realized what was going on, and I injured Bambi even though I didn't intend to. I apologize for allowing that to happen. The remarks didn't excuse me, but it was the first break in the wall. Scrappy was in a holding room across town, keeping an eye on things with his lawyer. His leg twitched nervously while the documentary aired, and then the "I told Tasha to leak the fight" clip, he said over a hot mic in the last clip. Once the fans flipped to me because Bambi appeared shaky. Simple. The attorney didn't even talk, just got up and went outside to prepare for court. At the same time, Tamika, Bambi's lawyer, and a number of the cast members who had finally come forward stood at a news platform. She gave a brief statement. "I was used, manipulated, and humiliated on national television for years." Television. "We're not only suing for damages, though, so I get that ability now." She then launched a $50 million class action lawsuit against VH1, Mona Scott, and 3 other parties, saying, "We're suing for history." Executive producers pointing to forced breakdowns, fabricated plots, and mental health abuse. The courtroom rattled. No one had ever filed anything. Even the outside media were taken aback. Such audacity on reality TV, but Bambi wasn't giving up. That same evening, a fan started looking through the unedited confessionals from seasons 11, 12, and 13 that VH1 was compelled by a federal court to release. The whole footage in real time, and they discovered something heartbreaking. Bambi, breaking down and said, "Keep the camera rolling," while requesting a break from the producers. Scrappy being instructed to behave like she cheated. Tasha K orchestrated jail audio leaks at Ashot's request. The greatest headline yet appeared a few days later, and Love and Hip Hop was becoming more than just a show. It was a murder scene. Following the documentary fallout, Mona Scott Young leaves the Love and Hip Hop franchise. During her farewell meeting, she issued a brief internal memo. "I didn't understand I was attempting to create legendary moments. We were causing harm, but it was too little, too late." Bambi was more resilient than ever outside. The Bambi file unedited was the description for her final Instagram picture, which featured a single blank screen. Next month, I'll be streaming. She created her own miniseries. Own story. Just her, no contracts, no producers. Back in court, Scrappy accepted a plea bargain, received 8 months of home imprisonment, issued a public apology, and he posted an apology saying, "I failed, you, and required mental health training via a group supported by the people he harmed. I failed myself. I let fear and ego to make me into someone I vowed never to be." Brutal, the remark said. It's too late. What you attempted to burn has already been rebuilt by her. Your career is over. Hers was barely begun. Then, when the internet, Tasha K went live for the final time before she was ready. She added, "I could be dirty. However, the truth can occasionally be found in the muck. I revealed myself to her. And you have now made the network public." After the commotion, she bowed with her hands like a villain and then logged off. Bambi sat at a desk facing the camera in the last shot of her own unreleased video. Her gaze remained steady. The statement, "No one thought I'd survive this," was hers. They believed that I was weak since I was crying, but I kept every acknowledgement. Every falsehood I knew by heart. They forgot I could since I was silent for so long. Scream. She bent over. "However, I'm no longer here to yell. My job is to compose the conclusion." She shut down her computer. Turn black. Screen text. Real events served as the basis for this series. No, it was time. Therefore, names were altered. There were names for the truth. Supporters cried, detractors commended her, and producers everywhere looked directly into the mirror. Due to it wasn't simply the combat that Bambi won. The regulations were revised.